Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this comprehensive Snapchat ads guide, you're going to learn everything you need to know to get up and running with your first Snapchat campaign, even if you're not all that familiar with Snapchat. As you'll see, when it comes to choosing your targeting and specifically creating your ads, it is a snap. Okay, yes, that was a terrible joke, but I had to get at least one snap joke out there, so that's my one for the video. Timestamp table of contents in the description, along with a link from today's sponsor, Snapchat themselves. So they're giving you $100 free advertising credit when you set up your new ads account. So make sure you click that link as you go through this video. So first, we're going to go through the different campaign structures. We're going to talk about the targeting and messaging options, specifically how you can actually put together ads without having to do all that graphic design stuff. And then we'll go click by click creating your actual campaign. So with that, let's go ahead, dive in. Now, the first step to setting up your ads account is, of course, understanding how the campaigns should be structured inside of Snapchat ads, because it's a little different than what you might have worked with in the past. So the very first thing we want to do is go over how your campaign is structured. You're still going to have a campaign with multiple ad groups and, of course, multiple ads. Here, we're going to keep things simple and just make one ad group and one ad, but I'll show you how you can quickly multiply this, and it's very, very easy to set up. So at the campaign level, the settings you have is essentially how much you're going to spend across all of your ad groups, and then the runtime of your actual campaign. The other thing I recommend that's not in your settings, but I recommend just as an advertiser, is making sure that you only have one offer, product, or service per campaign. It's just going to help you stay organized and not pulling your hair out when you're looking at all of your different Snapchat campaigns and trying to figure out which one's working and which one's not for which product or service. It's just a lot easier if you have one campaign for one offer, product, or service. We'll get more into these settings and advertising goals when we start building out your account. Now, the next step in this process, of course, is deciding who you're going to target. So this is going to be your age, gender, location, language, even device type if that matters, along with some audiences Snapchat has already set up for you that allow you to easily choose different social groups. So we'll get more into that in a little bit, but here you just want to think of your ad group as different potential customers. So each ad group represents an individual customer that might find value in your product or service. Now, finally, of course, we have ads, which is typically the point of anxiety, but luckily we're going to be able to easily import all of our images from our site or landing page to quickly come up with our ads. And because of the ad format, you're not going to have to worry about coming up with multiple different variations because of what Snapchat will automatically be able to do for you. So with that, we are ready to dive in and actually start building out your account. So here's just a quick summary of everything we're going to be going through. Again, timestamp table of contents in the description, along with that coupon for $100 free advertising credit from today's sponsor, Snapchat. So make sure you click that link and claim your free advertising credit. Now it's time to build out the account. So let's actually use that ads credit. So you'll go to snapchat.com. Now, I'll go through the process as if you haven't created an account yet. You can just come up here and click on ads, and then you'll see a couple of examples. I just recommend scrolling down this page and getting a sense of what the ads could look like, and then we'll go ahead and click on create ad. Now here, if you haven't created an account, you can go ahead and quickly go through this process. I'm going to go ahead and click on login and just skip through this process. Now, I wanted to include this because if you're using an ad blocker, you definitely need to turn it off so that ads work, so that you can actually see the platform. Because if you're blocking ads and you're trying to make ads, it's not going to work too well. So just make sure you turn off your ad blocker for all of Snapchat.com. So let's go ahead and go through and set up our actual account now. So it's going to ask for some basic information like the name of your business, your email, and of course your name. And we can just go ahead and click next, and we'll go ahead and finish up. So here is the actual platform itself. So this is what you're going to see when you first log in. And instead of going directly into building your campaign, what I want to do is come up here to create ads, and you're actually going to be able to click on create ads here, and you'll be taken to two different options. We're going to go through instant create. If you want to get really fancy and really dive into the nitty-gritty details, then you can go to advanced create, although I don't recommend doing that for your first couple of campaigns. So we'll just go ahead and click on instant instant create, and we'll come back to what this page looks like. So I just wanted to go through that so you easily know how to get to this page. So we'll go ahead and click on website visits, and then we'll just enter our URL. So this URL needs to be the URL that you want to drive traffic to. So don't just put your home page, put the page that you actually want people to see. So this is going to be your landing page or your product and services page, or if you're just driving general brand awareness, then it could be your home page. Once we've entered our landing page URL, we can go ahead and click on next, and we'll be asked to upload a video or photo. Now, we actually don't want to do this. We're going to go back and check this box to import assets from our actual landing page or product page, and that will make our ad setup process a heck of a lot easier. So now that we click on next, you'll see it will actually pull through a bunch of assets from our landing page. Now, in this particular instance, I'm using one that only has one image. So if you want to see what it looks like when you have more, we'll just quickly jump over to this example, and you'll see that this is my home page, and there's a lot of different pictures that are being pulled through, and all you have to do is click and select the picture that you think works the best, or you can try some other ones, and it's really easy to find a picture that's going to work relatively quickly. So let's go back to our actual example here. The first thing we need is a headline. So we'll just go ahead and give ourselves a quick headline that represents the offer that's being made. So here it's free marketing template library, and that's what's showing up here at the top. And this bottom text here is what you're going to really want to be testing as you try different ads. And this text is really where you want to be very clear on what you're offering and why someone should actually swipe up. So we'll get to something that's really cool here in a moment with all of these other options, but I wanted to quickly point out that you don't actually directly control the size of the text here, but what you can do is change how much text there is. So if I were to remove and template library, as you can see, the text gets a little bigger. So you definitely want to play around with it because you don't want a giant paragraph because nobody wants to read that. But then again, you do need enough information where someone actually has a reason to swipe up. So let's go ahead and go through the different options you have here. So something that's really nice is maybe this format doesn't really work for you all that well. Well, you can actually click through these other ones, and this is just a summary, and it will automatically change how the ad looks. So you have at least 5 different options with every image on your page. So you can always click through this, you can try different images, and with these last 4, if we go to these, you'll actually be able to upload a logo. So if you upload a logo, then it's going to add your logo here, or as you can see with the summary, this is where your logo will be added. The first one just doesn't have a logo. So that's another option as well. I just use a green check mark for example purposes here, but as you can see, it's very easy to quickly put together your ad, and our ad is ready and good to go, and you'll actually see that the swipe up cost is really low for this particular ad because I'm going to be sharing some data with you once we're complete. And with that, we'll go ahead and click next and start putting together our ad group. So if we go back to our diagram, we are going to be in the center now. So we completed our ad creation, and now it's time to choose who specifically we're going to be showing our ad to. And of course, we'll kick things off with basic demographics. I'm going to choose all genders, and then ages, I'm going to do 24 to 35 plus. And for languages, I'm just going to enter here and go to English, although you have a lot of options when it comes to the different languages. Something that's nice about Snapchat compared to some other platforms is because you really have to actually be logged in to be using it, languages is going to be a lot more accurate than what you may have experienced elsewhere. So let's go ahead and go on to locations now. So under locations, we have the ability to include and exclude, and then by state. So I'm just going to click down here and quickly show you all of the different targeting options. Here, I'm happy just leaving it with the entire US, but as you can see here, especially if you're a local-based business, this is going to be very helpful and important. Now, a quick note, if you are doing local, I highly recommend doing things by postal codes. And the reason that I always recommend using postal codes is because you're not going to have any overlap in your neighborhoods or cities, and it's a lot easier to read and understand your data when you're using zip codes. So just a quick little tip there. So with that, we're ready for our advanced targeting. So we have our basic demographics ready to go, and we'll go through our advanced targeting in terms of interests and custom audiences, and then devices. So under interests and custom audiences, this is where you're going to be able to see your custom audience audiences if you upload a list directly to Snapchat. We'll see how to do that, where to do that later, as well as your pixel audiences, which we'll get to later. Here, we're just going to focus on the options that you have when you first start running your ads with Snapchat, and this is going to be all of the audiences that Snapchat has created for you. Now, there's a timestamp table of contents, so you can always come back to this and pause, but I thought it would be fun to just show about 99% of the audiences that you have available to you. So this is snapshot number 1, and then this is snapshot number 2. So as you can see, between these two, you have a tremendous amount of options, so it's going to be really hard not to find an audience that is related to your product or service. To save us some time, I'm going to skip ahead and just choose lifestyle investors and entrepreneurs, because I think that audience is going to find value in a bunch of marketing information. Now, the next one we have is devices. For me personally, this isn't too important with the offer that I'm making, but if you have data on whether Android or iOS or certain device makers are important to you and your business, then you have those options here. And again, it's going to be a lot more accurate than what you've experienced with some other platforms where people can actually use it without being logged in. So let's go ahead and go to the budget and duration now. So this is where you're going to be setting up how much you're going to be spending per day and then how many days you want this to run. So you have two options. You have lifetime, or you just have perpetuity, where it just keeps going on and on and on. So right now the minimum per day is $20. So when you use the code in the description, go ahead and set up your campaign for 2 to 3 days. That way you can do some testing, and then you can make some adjustments and then use the rest of your advertising credit on round 2 just to really get the ball rolling. So I definitely don't recommend using all of the credit in one fell swoop. Let's make a couple campaigns and really test some things out. So here you can just choose your dates. So it could be 3 days, it could be 5 days, it could be 20 days, whichever you prefer. And then you can actually come down here and change it from a daily to a lifetime. Again, if you do daily, it's going to be a minimum of $20 a day. The same is actually going to be true with lifetime. It's just different the way it adds up because it's going to be 20 times the number of days that you're advertising. Here, I'm just going to leave it at lifetime for 1 week, and then we are on the home stretch of setting up our ads campaign. Here, we just need to enter our business address. You can also set up with PayPal. I'm just going to do credit card, and once I've entered my credit card information, I'll go ahead and click on publish, and the ad is now posting. We'll get this fun little graphic, and then we'll be taken to our ad groups. Now, we're going to come up to the top here, and you can click on all campaigns, and this is where you're going to be able to see all of the campaigns that you're currently running and some of the ones that you've turned off. So at this point, we've set up your account, we've set up your campaign. We're almost done setting up your account, but before we go into experimentation and what things look like once you've actually run some data, let's go ahead and talk about setting up the pixel and some custom audiences, because this is really where you're going to make sure that all of your ad dollars really work hard for you. So here is what it's going to look like after a couple of days. I'm just skipping ahead a little bit after we spent about $120, and we'll get to how to analyze this data. But first, we're going to come up here to manage ads and click on Snap Pixel. So Snap Pixel is something that you want to put on your actual website. This is going to go in your header tag, and this is going to allow you to track all the information of people who've come to your page, even if they haven't come from Snapchat. So this is where you're going to be starting to be able to set up those custom audiences, and you're going to be able to create campaigns based upon actions people have taken on your site. So you'll just go ahead and copy this code, put it into the header tag on your site. This is going to be the same place that you put all of your other tracking and analytics information, and then we'll go ahead and click on finish. So after a couple of days, we'll skip ahead, you'll start to see some traffic. So the only other thing I wanted to point out before we get to experimentation and what to look at is you're going to want to come up to the Snap Pixel, and then you click on audiences, and this is where you're going to be able to upload some custom lists that you already have in order to really accelerate the success of your Snapchat campaigns. So you can go ahead and click on Get Started, and you'll be able to set that up by uploading. So let's go ahead, go back over to Manage Ads here and talk about the data that's come in and specifically what you should be looking at. So first of all, we need some new columns. So we're going to go ahead and click on these 3 little bars, and this is going to pull up all the different columns that we have. As you can see here, there are a lot of options, and especially once you set up your Snap Pixel, you're going to be able to actually start looking at how your ad groups and campaigns are performing based upon actions people have taken on your site. Here, I'm actually just going to scroll all the way down to audience, country, ages, and genders, because that's what I want to see in this particular analysis. So to make things a little easier, let's go ahead and zoom in here and go through what we should be looking at. So first we have our paid eCPM. So this is essentially how much did we pay every 1,000 times our ad showed up. Then the swipe ups is the number of times someone actually swiped up. And then finally we have eCPSU, which essentially is just how much you're paying for every time someone swipes up. What's really nice is this isn't clicks, so you're not going to have as much wasted ad spend as people accidentally clicking on a link, whereas with a swipe up, it's really intentional. So if someone actually swiped up, that means they were probably legitimately interested and they didn't just accidentally click the wrong place on the screen. So here is where structuring your ad groups is going to be really important, because as you make new ad groups, you're going to want to change specific parts of your targeting, whether it's going to be the audience that you choose or the country, ages, or genders. And so what I highly recommend is always changing just one particular variable with your ad group. So when you're looking at your analysis here, you could easily see, okay, ad group number 1 was United States and it got this, these results. And then ad group number 2 was Canada and it got this results. Or ad group number 3, I did only 24 to 30 versus 24 to 35. So you definitely want to use these as different variables for your testing and make sure that you only change one variable per ad group so you can easily see which targeting option is actually performing the best. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video, and most importantly, you're ready to get up and running with Snapchat ads. Make sure you check out that timestamp table of contents along with the $100 free advertising credit from today's sponsor Snapchat in the description. And of course, until the next, keep building the business you love.